Atlanta News First Plus starts now.
Well, hi there, everybody. Happy, what is today? Today is Tuesday. I was about to say Monday, but good grief. How could I forget today? Today is the big All-Star Game at Truist Park. First time in 25 years that game has been played here, and we are so super excited about that. We're going to be talking more about that coming up in just a couple of minutes. I'm Gurveer Denza. Glad you're with us on Atlanta News First Plus. The other big story really from the last several days is that Beyoncé has been in town as well. So our city has just been buzzing with fans and people here to see that show, along with all of the activities leading up to the Major League Baseball game tonight. I do have to tell you, though, there were some kind of stories that really bothered us this morning when we talked about them on the air with regard to Beyoncé's visit here to Atlanta. First of all, we want to start off with an incident that happened on a Marta station that sent several people to the hospital. Our Sarah Hammond reports on what happened at this Marta station near Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Take a look at this.
Well, the information about what exactly happened at this Vine City Marta station last night is still very limited, but our crew did see several people leaving the area in ambulances. So this Marta station, it's right near Mercedes-Benz Stadium where the Beyoncé concert was letting out last night. And one woman told Atlanta News First someone she knows was injured in that Marta station. She says there was a lot of commotion around midnight and people started running. She says she saw people get on one of the escalators and she watched people then fall down. And one man being wheeled out on a stretcher quickly told our photojournalist what he experienced.
What happened?
The escalade went out and everyone tumbled out.
Marta did post about a disruption at this station due to a medical emergency. We're still waiting to hear back from Marta about exactly what happened, how many people were hurt, and what the extent of their injuries might be. From Grady Memorial Hospital, Sarah Hammond for Atlanta News First.
Of course, that was terribly unfortunate, but something else happened too. Of course, Beyoncé was here for four nights, 4 performances in her Cowboy Carter tour, and sadly, you know, we report a lot about car thefts and break-ins and that sort of thing here in the city of Atlanta. And this time around, it was Beyoncé who was hit. Alani Latang has more on what happened.
This ain't Texas. This is Atlanta, where even Grammy Award-winning artist Beyoncé and her team have to be vigilant. As they saddled up for their Cowboy Carter tour at the Benz, it didn't start off on the right boot. Atlanta police says someone allegedly stole the musician's sensitive material, including unreleased music from her team's rented vehicle near Krog Street Market.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
At Patchwork Studios in Atlanta, platinum artists come through by the dozens.
That's the first song they ever did here. That's what set off the studio.
Even Beyoncé has recorded her earlier songs there. They say stealing artists' hard work is unsettling.
Honestly, it's crushing to a creative because it takes so much to make these records, and the people that's involved, different songwriters, different producers, so many different people are influential to make these records, and for that to be confiscated and taken the way it was, it's hurtful to the whole team. Honestly, everybody that's part of the creative process.
An Atlanta police report states that 2 days before her Cowboy Carter tour, Beyoncé's choreographer and dancer reported their rented car trunk window had been damaged, their belongings gone. Among the items allegedly stolen, designer bags, sunglasses, clothes, plus 5 jump drives containing Beyoncé's show footage plans, past and future set list, watermarked music, and unreleased music.
I think it says a lot to the climate of Atlanta.
The Beehive says they know their queen won't be too bothered.
Beyonce gonna take this hit and she gonna come back tenfold. It's gonna be even better than what she ever thought it was gonna be.
I'm Alani Latang, Atlanta News First.
Gosh, we just hate that that happened to her here in Atlanta. That is not the welcoming Atlanta that we want to be, and we hope that police certainly get to the bottom of exactly what happened and they're able to get that all of those items back to Beyonce and the people to whom they belong. All right, let's talk Major League Baseball and, of course, the All-Star Game. The festivities started last Friday, and they continued last night. You know that this is All-Star Week here, leading up to the big All-Star Game this evening. First time in 25 years the All-Star Game is being played here in Atlanta, and it is going to be fantastic. Fans flocking to All-Star Village and really excited about all of this. Looking ahead, Atlanta hip-hop icons Ludacris and Jermaine Dupri are going to headline the pregame ceremony of the All-Star Game tonight. Dupri and Ludacris will take the stage to introduce the 2025 All-Stars with an Atlanta-inspired medley described by Major League Baseball as, quote, a unique hometown tribute to honor the city's influence on global music. That, of course, we all didn't know, right? And we know that Atlanta Brave legends Chipper Jones and Andrew Jones, along with Andres Galagara, are going to throw out the ceremonial first pitch during the All-Star Game at Truist Park tonight. Of course, last night was the Home Run Derby, and even though we were really hoping that our hometown guy Matt Olson was gonna do it, he didn't. But we were still super excited that he was out there and got the chance to take part. And we spoke with him about that experience.
The reaction of the intros and then the support during the round was awesome. Probably the loudest I've heard the place when I kind of got going there a little bit in the second half. Ton of fun. Wish I could have advanced.
That's great. And here is what you need to know if you are going out there this evening. You know, the All-Star Village is up and running from 10 to 6. The game begins at 8 o'clock this evening. There's a hydration station over in the east lot, and the red, green, and blue parking decks are where you need to park. The weather is so important for this game tonight because, we've been under a first alert this week. And so we want to give you a look at Truist Park right now. You can see that they're preparing for that game tonight. The lights have been on all morning long. However, we are a little concerned about what the weather is going to do because there is a chance that we might see some storms which could interrupt the game a little bit, might delay it just a little bit. And our weather team's been very closely monitoring that for you. I know Courtney Jacobazi's been all over it. She actually lives over by Truist Park. And Courtney says it has been crazy busy over there. And Courtney, I don't know about you, but even though you're not going to the game, nor did you go to the Home Run Derby, but you went over and just kind of got a feel for it, right? So people can go and visit Truist Park and check it out and go to the Battery and check out the restaurants too.
Yeah, absolutely. It was so much fun just watching people kind of explore around and see everything that was going on because, Truist Park is electric when this kind of stuff happens. Let me tell you, they pulled out all the stops last night, guys. I mean, they had if you go to the ball games and you know that they have the tool race, so they had all the tools out and about. They were like dancing, taking pictures with everybody, lots of activities for the kids. A fan favorite yesterday, naturally for the Home Run Derby, they were giving out these like giant baseball gloves. Not really sure how useful they are, but I'm sure if you took both hands and put it above your head, you'd probably catch a ball. But anyway, I'm telling you, they were from my waist all the way to my head. I mean, they were huge. It was so fun. But really, really a great time. Of course, you had the heavy hitters out there with all their drum line and stuff like that. It was really cool. So even if you don't have tickets to the game, because that is pretty pricey, the Battery's free unless you start spending money in all the shops, which is very easy to do. So, but it was a lot of fun. Now, you will have to battle traffic to do that and probably pay for parking. So take that for what it is. All right, let's talk about the weather for tonight because I know a lot of you are in town getting ready to go to that All-Star Game a little later tonight. Unfortunately, we do have a first alert weather day today because it is possible that storms will impact that, and storms will definitely impact evening plans tonight. And we could also have some isolated flash flooding, so road flooding, definitely a possibility. These storms look like what they're going to do is they're going to develop, and then they're going to kind of train and move very slowly in the same areas. We've seen that happen a lot lately, and it does happen a lot in the summertime because we don't have we don't have the jet stream dipping as far south to kind of push things out of the way. This time of year, it's natural that the jet stream stays north, so there's really not a lot of steering current for our storms. All that being said, flash flooding will be a possibility tonight, and as you can see here, moderate impact because it could impact the All-Star Game that we know thousands upon thousands of people are in town for. Until we get to tonight, it's going to be another hot day. No heat advisory today like we had yesterday for some spots, but still plenty hot with highs climbing into the low to mid 90s. A high of 95 in Atlanta after hitting 97 yesterday. And if you were out and about yesterday afternoon like I was, you felt every single bit of that 97 feeling more like probably 105 or so. Now, the heat risk is high across North Georgia today, especially within the city limits. So Fulton County, Coweta County, Fayette County, Clayton County, all the way into Gwinnett County, maybe even extreme in some spots up in Gwinnett County, so that purple color there. So you do need to be taking precautions. If you're visiting town and you're not from the southeast, this is probably extremely uncomfortable for you. It's already uncomfortable for us natives, but if you're not used to this kind of heat, just know you got to drink a lot of water, take breaks if you need, the light, loose clothing, all those things are good to keep in mind today because that heat risk is going to be very high, which naturally means it's going to feel even hotter. So notice, by this afternoon, by lunchtime, we're going to be feeling closer to the triple digits across most of North Georgia, and it could very well feel as hot as 104 to 105 across parts of North Georgia, from Atlanta especially off to the east, where we will have a lot of moisture pumping in from the Atlantic coast. Our wind is going to be shifting out of the southeast today, so we're getting that onshore flow from the Atlantic. That's going to pump in even extra moisture east of the city, so that's why those feels like temperatures are a little higher from Athens down to Eatonton. Let's talk about that rain chance because that's really the big story today. That's what I'm sure a lot of you want to know about because you probably have Tuesday plans if you are, if you've been waiting for the All-Star Game. So around 2 o'clock, I do think there's the potential for a few isolated storms to start to develop just with the heat of the day. I know this particular model is not really showing that, but I do think it's possible we start to see some storms right after lunchtime. And then by 6 o'clock, notice these scattered storms developing. They could impact your evening commute across Metro. Where you're going to notice a lot of these storms set up are along the I-85 corridor. We have something called a trough. Essentially, it's an area of low pressure, adds a little extra lift in the atmosphere, serves as a boundary for storms to develop along. We'll have this trough hanging out along the I-85 corridor, and that's going to serve as essentially a focal point for showers and storms to develop and kind of linger. So around 6 o'clock, you can see storms developing and then continuing mainly along and north of that I-85 corridor there. Now, 9 o'clock, of course, will be an hour into the All-Star Game. While this model is showing storms mainly north of Truist Park, we can't completely rule out storms kind of floating into Truist Park. This model isn't going to show you exact placement. It's going to show you kind of where it thinks storms are best going to develop. And again, giving you that general idea of the 85 corridor across North Georgia. But by 9, 10 o'clock, it does look like storms could be scattered across North Georgia, including Truist Park. So we could have a brief rain delay, brief storm delay for the back half of the game for the All-Star Game later tonight. Now, storms will continue, unlike our normal setup where storms kind of diminish after sunset. It does look like we'll hold on to storms kind of lingering even into midnight. So again, storms kind of training, carrying really heavy rain for several hours. That could lead to a localized flooding threat, especially along and north of I-85 later tonight. Stay tuned, though. Come back to the forecast throughout the day because it is possible, again, that models start to shift. The low that we've been watching that is developing out of the Atlantic that's pumping in a lot of moisture today, that's finally developed. So I think models are going to do a better idea, or have a better idea rather, of exactly what our forecast is going to look like now that that's developed. Either way, Wednesday, I know it kind of skipped through that really fast. Wednesday does look mostly dry. Most of the rain tomorrow is going to stay south of Macon, so south of the I-20 corridor tomorrow. Here is that low now floating right along the Atlantic coast there, starting to kind of move inland along the Florida Peninsula there. That low is expected to track across the state of Florida and go back into the Gulf. And as it does so, it's going to run into some very warm water. So the National Hurricane Center keeping an eye on this, giving it a 40% chance of development, saying that it could become a tropical depression. Medium chance right now, doesn't have a high chance of development, but nonetheless a chance of development. No matter what it does, our forecast remains the same here. We'll have more moisture getting pumped in today. Showers and storms mainly stay south of here right now. If you do have travel plans to the panhandle of Florida or to central Florida, especially along the Gulf Coast, just know that it is going to be quite rainy and stormy there the next few days, so you'll want to keep kind of weather aware if you do have travel plans to the beaches for any summer plans today all the way into the back half of the week. But models are predicting this more than likely staying out of our way and moving inland somewhere near Louisiana and kind of skirting around Atlanta. We're going to have this very strong ridge of high pressure build in from the east and push west. And that's going to kind of keep us protected from any significant weather. There's like one rogue spaghetti model that wants to bring it in a little bit sooner. Don't necessarily see that happening. Model consensus is that this generally moves into the Gulf and then kind of swirls around that high. That's going to keep our forecast hot and mostly dry. So we're going to be keeping an eye on this low very carefully. If it does develop into a tropical storm, Not looking likely it does, but if it did, it would be Dexter. We're going to be keeping a close eye on it because if it moves a little further north, if it does kind of turn inland a little bit sooner, that could increase our rain chances over the weekend. But right now, our forecast looks pretty much rinse and repeat. We're going to be hot, we're going to be humid with isolated afternoon storms, with the exception of today, with that boundary setting up across the state. We'll have more widely scattered showers and storms. We have lots of tropical moisture getting pumped in, so that's going to just lead to a wetter afternoon and evening today, with most of the rain mainly after 6 p.m. tonight, like 6 to 9 p.m., 6 to 10 p.m., I should say. Probably the most widespread chance of showers and storms can be expected then. Some of those could very well impact the All-Star Game tonight. We'll be watching that very carefully, just something you'll want to keep in mind. Tomorrow, though, mostly dry, rain chance at about 10%. We're staying in the low to mid-90s for the foreseeable future. Rain chances at 20 to 30%, so very isolated afternoon storms. If you already are kind of thinking about the weekend, starting to make plans, don't go canceling it. Just know it's going to be a very summer-like setup with isolated afternoon storms each day. All right, everyone, enjoy your Tuesday. If you are heading to that All-Star Game tonight, keep the First Alert Weather app handy. It's a great tool to have. It'll let you know of storms in the area. There's also live radar on there, so you can kind of track the storms yourself throughout the evening if you have any plans to head over to Truist Park. I hope you make it a wonderful Tuesday, and we'll catch you here next time.
30 a.m. on ANF+. You can also text weather to the number on your screen, and we'll send a link directly to your cell phone.